You find yourself in dense tunnels of thorny green shrubbery, dripping with bright blue sap. And further in to these tunnels, you see a scrap of maroon-colored velvet, a sign that the halfling you're seeking lies deeper within. You know these tunnels are called the Blue Leaf Burrows. They are rumored to wind in and out of the Feywild itself, and many small children, pursuing their fancies into the tunnels, have never returned. Welcome everyone to the inaugural stream of the one-shot Hotshots, where we play self-contained Dungeons & Dragons adventures, and then we hang out and discuss them afterward and chat with our viewers as well. My name's Robert Peak. I'll be your Dungeon Master, and we're going to find out in just a minute what brings our party to the Blue Leaf Burrows and what their mission is inside of it. But first, we're going to introduce your characters.
I say, is there anyone here? Yeah, I feel well done.
So let us hit the dance floor. Positions? Oh, by the way, we are being followed. You guys are doing wonderful.
Nobody bites my drinking buddy. I love killing creatures, but making them run in fear feels pretty good too.
We're back! Okay, so earlier that same day, you find yourselves in a small thatched cottage outside the door, humble dwelling just outside of the city of Waterdeep. You've been summoned to the house of Halia Hornblower, you, Marshall Vigor, in particular, because she is a patroness of the Temple of Osiris, a long-standing good church lady, and a lovely halfling who knits delightful lace. And so, as you are the first to rap on the door opens up and she greets you. You look down and down, and finally there she is below you. Oh, wonderful. Do come in. Do come in. Oh, all of you. Oh, he's a big one. Do please come in. 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 And you find your way ducking through the doorway, of course, into a quaint little sitting room. Every inch of furniture is draped in lace, and she has a bit of lace that she's been knitting on her armchair. Please, please, sit down. Sit down. Oh, make yourself comfortable. I'll make some tea. And she goes off into the back room to make tea as Marshall, you explain to the group she has some kind of mission for you. Someone's gone missing. She comes back with the clattering tray and sets it down and begins handing it out to each of the three of you. Erky, you find yourself in a particularly small chair and unable to get truly comfortable. The teacups also are well suited to her small hands and small mouth, but for the rest of you, it's a little bit like drinking out of a thimble. I'm so glad you've come. Oh, my son, you see, has gone missing. I won't lie, he didn't have many friends. In fact, I would say he had a few enemies. He was all business, and, well, a little arrogant, too. Poor Thulro. I fear the worst. He's been gone for several days. He was last seen down at the Blue Leaf Burrows scouting a project to clear out the brush to make way down to the Desserin River. I'm hoping you can help me find him. Cookie? She holds up a platter of skull-shaped cookies, her specialty that she brings every Thursday to the life and death service at the Temple of Osiris. And she hands one first of all to Urki. You're a growing boy. You could probably use one of these.
Urki tries to grab one without crushing the others.
Yes, and a couple of them do sort of crack, and you have these sort of cracked skulls with missing teeth all around them.
Sorry, mumbles.
Oh, no, that's fine. That makes it easier to share them all. Oh, here you go, please. And she hands them to Marshall and to Gideon.
Marshall will take a cup. We'll take one to eat, one to save.
Never a bad plan.
Lady, please just calm your nerves. We shall assist in any way we can. Who was the last person to see your son?
Oh, probably the people he was with surveying. They said he went off into a tangle in the blue leaf burrows. And, well, that was the last we saw of him. He said he saw his feet going into the burrows. I don't know why. He wears these high clogs. He's a little bit self-conscious about his height. And, well, if I'm honest, he looks down on little people of all kinds. So he tries to maintain, well, you know how it is. She looks up at Urki. He tries to maintain a certain stature, but it hasn't exactly made him a lot of friends.
I understand. What is he employed by anyone, or is he in business for it?
Oh, no, he's what you would call an entrepreneur. That means he preneurs a lot of different ventures, I think. But anyway, he definitely is out well for himself, I guess you could say. And yes, he definitely doesn't really like to answer to anyone. In fact, he sort of likes to boss people around, if I'm honest.
Marshall will finish the last of the cookie and take a sip of the tea. And just, think about what he heard.
It's a particularly fragrant tea. And Urki, as you take up the cup in your hand, even getting it remotely near to your face, go ahead and give me a Constitution savings throw.
Interesting.
Oh, just drink that.
See,
you did.
That's a 9 there.
That's a 9. Okay, let the German language be your guide. Yes, you go to try to be polite in your way and to take a sip, and you manage to spit it out instantly all over the room. There was just a cloud of tea, which then condenses on the faces of the remaining 3 of you. Oh dear, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, of course you wouldn't. Oh, you wouldn't like that at all. Oh, please, give it here, put it back on the tray. I will get you some water. I am so sorry about that.
It was too delicious, that's all it was.
No, I know what it was. That was Orc's Bane. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you weren't just a very tall, green human with large tusks. I'm very sorry. That's actually a repellent to orcs, and I'll get you some water in a minute. Yeah. I'll go get that. You talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. And she goes off into the back room to fetch a pail and get Urki some water.
Yeah. Gideon is just casting his prestidigitation just to clean himself up from the tea, and also just cleaning at the table and everybody sitting at it.
Best use of a cantrip ever.
Well, I like it.
Apparently wasn't your cup of tea.
Oh, No, it was not. No, it was not.
It wasn't. He just starts taking cookies to just drown the flavor out, putting them down one after another.
And they go down smooth and easy, these little skull-shaped sugar cookies. She's definitely a good baker. She comes back with a big, looks like a flower pot full of water. She figures that's probably a suitable drinking vessel for you and just hands it up over to you.
My dear lady, is there anything else you can tell us? Anything that you think that would be important should we encounter your son that would help us in our attempt to find him? Anything that would help us communicate with him or find him? Anything in particular?
Well, he was a snappy dresser. He liked velvet, that's for sure. And I was always knitting him lace collars. He liked those so much. And as I say, the big clogs, if you were looking for tracks, those would be the ones. He was practically on stilts. But, yeah, apart from that, I was going to say I can't think who would do this, but actually I can't think who wouldn't do this to him. He didn't have a whole lot of friends, and I guess the development of the Burrows wasn't terribly popular among the forest folk. I would definitely look there if I were you, and of course I will be sure to provide a significant donation to the temple as well as to your good selves, should you be able to return him to me, or at least return the news of what on earth happened to my poor boy. She gets a little weepy at this point.
Worry not, my lady. We will go and have a look for your son. But tell me, what kind of development was he working on?
Oh, burning and slashing all of the forest and shrubbery just to basically blaze a path straight to the river to provide better access for the logging trade.
Mm-hmm. So I can understand these enemies that you speak of might be some kind of forest-dwelling people?
Well, the loggers liked him okay because he kept him in business, but yeah, he was always looking down on people from, those stilts and sneering at what he called the little folks.
Eric is just stifling a laugh at this point. Just thinking of this halfling who thinks he's better than everybody else in lace and clogs. Just trying.
The cookie crumbs are accumulating at the back of your throat as you attempt to stifle.
Forgive my good friend. He's still a little bit sore throat from the tea, of course.
Oh, I'm so feel bad about that. I really do. Please, here, won't you take one of my tablecloths? She hands you a beautiful lace pattern tablecloth. Take this, please, as a token of my apology, sir.
Doesn't know what he'd do with the tablecloth, but she's so sincere that he, thank you, I really needed one of these.
Everybody needs a good lace tablecloth. That's what I say.
I've always said.
Yeah. Me too. We should hang out more, We would get along.
Definitely.
Okay, unless there are any other questions.
No. My lady, we shall take our leave of you and go and find your son post haste.
You are a good, good man, Father Marshal. Oh, I'm only hoping for the best. She clatters off with her platter of teacups. And you find yourselves later that day, not far, about a half a day's journey south of Waterdeep toward the Desserin River and through the hills, standing at the entrance of the Blue Leaf Burrows. Just a vast, sprawling network of tunnels, some covered, some slightly open to the air. And as you peer down into these tunnels that go off into the darkness, you hear a faint crackle in the distance of thunder, and it begins to rain. you know that the only shelter is, in fact, through those tunnels. What is the plan?
Are these dark tunnels, or they is there a light source?
There's a bit of light trickling in through the various branches and thorns and that kind of thing. So it is a sort of dim light throughout the tunnels, but it varies as it goes on. And already in the distance you can see that they begin to branch in different directions.
Ricky says, let's get this funny yet boring mission over with. Why don't we follow the one with the velvet piece of cloth there?
Seems to be the obvious choice.
Mm-hmm. Let us light the torch and let us proceed.
Okay, Gideon fires up the torch. And what will be your, I was going to say marching, what will be your crawling order for today? Who's in first?
I'll crawl first.
Erky wants to take the lead. In you go. Your frame already is beginning to scrape against the sides of various twigs and branches. Who's next?
After you, Father Marshal.
I suppose trailing an orc that just drank some orc's bane is not the most dangerous thing I've done, but I will go.
All right.
I'll crawl behind him
Marshall.
Okay. At a reasonable, polite distance.
Indeed, yes. You can already hear Erky's stomach rumbling a little bit. The combination of orc's bane and a few too many cookies has definitely got him someone you want to keep upwind of. Okay, three of you make your way into the tunnels, and what is your strategy for finding this guy and navigating the various twists and turns of the tunnels as you go along?
Perhaps we should leave some sort of markers on the directions that we're going so as to not backtrack. Maybe we can find like a rock or something, or someone has paint. I don't know.
It's a chalk, perhaps.
Chalk.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're going to kind of chalk the branches as you go. Who's on chalking duty?
I'll be honest, I am not very much a person who enjoys tracking things to the wild. I can do my best. However, if there's someone else who's better suited at nature stuff, I would happily concede that initiative.
I don't know about that, but worry not. I shall handle it. But yeah, Gideon he's not the kind of guy who just haphazardly just crosses something. So he's always like I don't know, drawing like an Elvis rune or something like that. A lot of curls on it.
All right, with a little flourish, calligraphic markings. I love it.
The search for a lacy halfling is too gripping for Erky, but he does. It's been a while since he's done any tracking, so he's definitely excited to look for some. Hopefully, he's hard to find, basically.
Noted. Hard to find. Good. Okay. Excellent. All right. So yes, Gideon, you are chalking the place up and looking to remember your various markings and the ways that you have come. Go ahead and give me an intelligence check. And here's a weird one. If you have survival, you can add your proficiency bonus to your intelligence check. So it's an intelligence survival check to keep track of your different elvish markings on the trees.
I am not proficient. I'm half proficient, but I don't think that counts as a bard. 16.
16 intelligence, pretty decent. Okay, so you're managing to do a pretty good job. At one point you do kind of loop back and you recognize the marking and you are managed to steer yourself back down deeper into the burrows. The light is sort of shimmering now around all of you as you definitely hear the crackling of thunder overhead and the occasional raindrop gets on your head and on your arched backs as you're crawling through. And these blue leaf trees also exude a kind of sticky blue sap, bright electric blue. So as you're going along, Gideon, you're obviously trying not to get it onto your lovely clothing, but the rest of you are getting a bit smeared in blue as it swirls with the rainwater. Erky, go ahead and give me your wisdom perception check as you make your way through this maze of thorns and branches.
Would be a 13.
13.
Or
Okay.
perception, sorry, that's a 17.
17. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, you are making good progress. I'm going to call that 2 successes between the chalking up of the runes and a solid perception check. And Marshall, how are you supporting the party on your way through the burrows?
Can I notice any like weird noises?
Yeah, that's a great idea. There's the patter of rain, obviously, as it trickles through the leaves. Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check as you're listening around, but with a bit of rain and noise, that's going to be at disadvantage.
Oh, 18.
Hey, very solid. Yes. And with an 18, you hear a kind of a strange sort of sound ahead, a low sort of grumbling. Sounds a little bit like a tiny little old man sort of complaining far in the distance about something, or kids get off my lawn, or something. So you're not quite exactly sure what, but there's definitely something ahead, and I'm going to call that that 3 successes. It progresses you on to the next part of the burrows.
Either Erky's stomach is really disagreeing with that tea, or I think I hear someone ahead of us.
Do you think it could be the halfling that we are looking for?
I don't know. I can't discern anything. Just it sounds like a voice. It's hard to tell with this rain, but there's somebody I can hear.
All right, and with that, Erky, your face is suddenly covered in cobwebs. And as you go to pull them off, you pull against a particularly thick piece of cobweb. And as you do, you hear thwack as branches come flying towards you, covered in thorns. Give me a dexterity savings throw, all 3 of you, as the entire passage begins flailing.
Oh, a natural 20.
Hey!
So a 21. I actually got a 1
Nat
and then a 20.
20.
That's awesome.
Well done, sir. Nat 20. And you manage to dodge out of the way, and the branches come sailing now toward Marshall, who gets
17.
a 17, which is solid enough. And you manage to roll and dodge. And Gideon?
15.
15 is barely just enough. And it manages to tear some of your roughed cuffs a bit. But it does not harm you. You do, however, notice an acrid smell as though something were put onto the thorns, something besides the sweet blue sap.
What is this? A trap? Who would put it here?
I mean,
Seems to be an elaborate for a trap. Cobwebs, spiderwebs, and thorns.
I don't think that is all that it was. Gideon takes a closer look at this fluid.
Yeah, give me a nature check.
14.
14. It is clearly a poison, and a rather potent one at that.
Poisoned.
Poison. That, to me, means that someone is trying to hide or protect something. Calculated decision to poison a branch.
Hmm. I'm certainly starting to worry a bit about this this poor halfling that we're looking for.
Yeah, do we notice anything on the branches? Like maybe it's already caught some prey recently? Is there any blood on it or fabric?
Yeah, give me a perception check. Let's see what you can see as you go. And in fact, actually, no, you what? Give me an investigation check as you look at this thing. That's going to be even better. You're pretty good at perception.
That'll be a -1 for me.
Oh,
7.
7. Branch big, branch thorny. Me avoid branch.
Oh, like branch.
Me no like branch. Hard to tell, but further on ahead, beyond where this trap has sprung, you notice that the tunnel looks like it might be opening out to where you could actually stand up for once. And of course, your backs are all aching. And at the entrance of this place where the tunnel begins to open out into more of a small sort of covered clearing, you see another little scrap of clothing, a little tiny white piece of lace.
You guys ready? Let's get out of this damn mud.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Crawl faster.
All right, and Urki now moving at a fast crawl pace.
Can I pick up the lace on the way past it?
Yes, you can certainly intend to. But Urki is the first out of the tunnel, out into the further clearing. And as you emerge,
The lace is outside the clearing.
the lace is right at the entrance to the clearing.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, that was
so
still inside.
yeah, it's just right barely at the inside, at the threshold, basically. Urki, as you emerge from the clearing, you see a small man, a very small man, maybe no more than 2 feet tall, standing in the clearing. He is wearing a bright red pointed stocking cap, which seems to be moist. He has long, crazy white whiskers. His eyes are faintly glowing red, and his long nails, and in his hand he holds a big curved scythe. The final strange thing about him is that he is wearing boots made of solid iron, enormous, thick boots that you would think would root him completely to the spot. And he is grumbling, intruders option. And with that, everyone can roll for initiative.
Here we go.
16.
18.
6.
All right, Urki 16, 18 for Gideon, 6 for poor Marshall, and just checking your armor classes, we've got Urki at an AC 15, being a good half-orc barbarian, Gideon at 14 still,
Mm-hmm.
Marshall at 17. Okay. And this thing gets the drop on you, Urki, so it gets its first attempt, its first go, and you see that these enormous iron boots do not seem to be any impediment to this weird, tiny, gremlin-y beast as he races towards you and does a flying kick toward your head. Give me a dexterity savings throw.
That'll be a 10. Urgi's not taking him too seriously, I don't think.
No, he's not. And so you stand there, and as you do, the iron boots fly into your forehead, and you hear a ringing sound as you take 20 points of bludgeoning damage and are knocked prone, in fact, knocked backward, such that you are blocking the entrance to the tunnel. Having been knocked prone, the creature now begins cutting at you with this long, almost circular scythe, and it makes 3 attacks against you. 23, 21, and 11. So those are 2 hits. So you take 14 points of slashing damage
Is
as
he
this
at
thing.
advantage?
Oh, forgive me. He is at advantage. Let's
Yeah,
re-roll
sure,
that
why
third
not?
one.
Get that
16.
crit.
You know, you'll just owe me one.
I owe you one. No crits, but the third one does hit. So that is 27 points of slashing damage. I'm going to give you an inspiration point just for playing nice. So you got an inspiration point now for catching the DM
Now they
going
get
soft
it.
on you. All right.
I'll take
This thing has just knocked you to the ground and is beginning hacking away at you. Ruin Twitter's getting out of my buzz. I'm going to take it out. And Gideon, you are up.
All right, so this pint-sized creature with a red hat, just suddenly attacks us. Do I know anything? It's not a gnome. Do I know anything about this creature?
You might, given your time in the Feywild in the past. Go ahead and give me. It could be a nature check. I'm thinking it's probably a nature check.
Gotta focus.
And you can do that at advantage given your Feywild past.
Thank you. Oh, I rolled the same thing. Very, very low. I rolled a 5, so that's a 7.
7.
Yes.
No idea what this thing is, but it sure as heck isn't a gnome, and it definitely isn't a halfling, and it looks mad.
So I don't recognize it. I haven't seen anything like this before. But it's humanoid.
It's definitely a weird kind of creature, and it definitely whiffs of the Feywild, but you've not encountered it before.
I think what I will do is wave my hands, say an incantation, and I'm gonna cast a spell on it. I'm gonna cast Charm Person. It's a Wisdom save DC 17, but I think he does so with advantage because we are in combat.
Yes, and unfortunately, as you cast the spell, he is not a humanoid but a Fey. And actually, you would probably know. You would know that.
Yeah.
So I'll let you decide if you want to cast that. But it would automatically fail because he is a Fey and not a humanoid.
In that case, I think I will. I'm not really eager for a fight, but I think sure. I think what happens is Gideon sees this little creature and he says, "You must be the creator of this trap. Please, we did not mean to disturb you. But do tell me, did you run away from your parents? Did they run away from you?" I'm casting vicious mockery on him.
Oh, nice. All right, Wisdom save, spell save DC 17. Okay, that is a fail, and the creature definitely feels mocked.
He takes 6 psychic damage, and he has disadvantage on his next attack.
All right.
So I was trying to start a conversation with it, basically, but I did give him a little bit of a headache.
Letting him know you're here, basically. Letting him know that you mean business. Okay, and you spoke to him in common? Is that right?
Yes, I did, yes.
Okay, and mocked him in common. All right, good. And yes, and again...
Well, can I change that? I actually do speak Sylvan, so if I recognize him as a fake creature, I would speak Sylvan to him.
Okay, and you both speak to him and mock him in Sylvan. Little sting in the tail. Good. All right, Urki, you are up next. You are lying on your back with this thing with his giant, enormous boots on your chest, and it has just started hitting you with a sickle like you're wheat to harvest.
Just cripplingly embarrassed. He says, "Gideon, whatever you just said, I agree with you." It goes into full rage mode.
Full rage mode.
Starts hacking at this silly little creature.
Right.
Oh,
What?
it's not 20! That's a 29 to hit. Does it hit?
No, sorry. No, yeah, that hits. That hits. That hits. Okay. So this little man in the red cap, for future references, is an AC 13. So you can keep track of your hits or not. He has only an AC 13.
I haven't had a nat 20 with Erky yet. This means
Nice.
he
Oh, not at
rolls
this
the
level?
damage, and then he does a +7. Yeah, not at this level. He does a +7 to his damage, and then he rolls a d12 2 more times because he has savage attack and brutal. That's right, but I don't put a +7 on those.
No, you don't add your modifier, but you do get it sounds like a total of 3 d12s.
Yes. Okay. So I'll add the +7 at the end.
He kicked the wrong half-orc in the head today.
Absolutely, did he ever? So that's a 14. Oh, a 1. Jeez. So that's a 8. So 14, 8. Oh, I'm at. Ooh. I'm sorry. Fuck, that was 2 1s. That was actually. That's such a bummer. I rolled a 7 and 2 1s, so a 9 plus 7, 16. I could have done that on one. Man. Anyway.
Oh, so sorry about your crit. 16 total damage.
Yeah, he's a little. Erky was a little flustered.
Yeah. Land a solid hit, but this creature, definitely still has a bit of fight in him after that. He is, however, looking bloodied up. And as he bleeds, the blood.
I do have an.
Go ahead, you another attack. The blood is dripping, and it seems to drip upward into his cap, and his own blood is being absorbed into his red cap.
Ew,
Second attack.
That's disgusting. I'm gonna attack him again. That is a 13.
Just enough.
Oof. For 17 damage.
17 damage is a pretty hefty hit, and this thing is looking real bad now. His whiskers are spattered with blood, and his clothing is all torn up, and he is slumped in these huge iron boots.
Erky says, I'm gonna beat you to death with your own boots.
Okay, this thing is.
Say that in.
Yes, what language you say that in? Orc. In
Yeah,
orc.
Erky's bloodied, by the way. He took a pretty bad beating there.
He did take a pretty bad beating. Are you standing up now at the end of your turn, or are you just gonna
Yes.
lie there? Yeah, I thought you might get up at this point. Okay. At this point, the creature is going to jump. It's going to take the disengage action, and it's going to run further back into the burrow. He's slow. He only moves about 25 feet back into this enclosed space because he's wearing these thick boots, but he does manage to dodge out of the way so you don't get an opportunity attack at him, and retreats back about 25 feet. As he does, you see that he is standing next to another creature that looks almost exactly like him, but without the long whiskers. You assume this can only be a female version of this weird red-capped murderous creature. Marshall, you are up.
Question: did Marshall notice the blood going into his hat?
You're second in line, so you're just back behind Erky. Yeah, I'm gonna say you did. Yeah, you were close enough to see that blood absorbs into the cap.
If I get up and look, can I see the other creature? And does that other creature have a red cap as well?
Yes, yeah. Now that Erky is standing up, you can manage to sort of peek around the corner, as it were, and see both of these weird fey beasts.
Okay. I'm gonna tend to Erky. and just basically say, like, okay, well, looks like that little guy packs a big hit. And I'm going to put my hand on him, and I'm just going to heal him with. I'll just do a cure wounds. Let's just do second level, just so that it doesn't. Just in case. I don't like doubles. Weird. I'm not a fan of the thing. Okay? I'm just gonna say it. I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Don't say that out loud. They can hear you.
I have a growing
I'll say it in a language
myself.
they don't know.
Minor dislike.
Sorry, I'm trying to learn this new story thing. 8 plus 13 is 21. So 21
Yes,
health
it
therapy.
Nice.
And then I'm going to just mention to the party. They seem to have some sort of magical thing going on with their hats. Maybe we should try to take them in. And that's my turn.
Okay, and that ends the first round. And at this point, you hear a loud crackling sound as it is clear that lightning has struck some part of the blue leaf burrows. And as you look up, energy, sort of blue crackling energy, goes racing all through the burrows as though conducted by vine and twig and branch. The whole place becomes electrified with this crackling light. And as it does, you notice a few of the blue drops of sap that have been dripping down suddenly take flight. They begin whizzing around your head, and as they come bashing into you, they burst into sparks of light. There are 6 of them in total. They are with you in the tunnel, and they are basically hitting you all over the place with these sparks of electric light. So we have got 6 of them, and they are definitely going to be 2 on each. So let's start with Marshall. We've got 2 17s, which is just enough. So Marshall, you take 16 points of lightning damage as 2 of these things give you a little more, I would say, than a static electric shock. Gideon, a 23 and a 16. Those both hit for 16 points of lightning damage. And our buddy Erky. Ooh, 23 and a nat 20. So Erky's going to take 16 plus an extra d4.
Do you have
19.
Are these considered to be a? I guess it's a hit, right? An attack.
Yes, they're attacking. They're effectively
I got my
attacking.
Sentinel of Death Door to negate a crit as a reaction.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So you only take 16 points of lightning damage, Erky.
Okay.
And that is the full damage, as you're not immune to that type of damage in rage mode, unfortunately. Okay, these 6 weird animated saplings are incredibly fast. They just blur by you, shooting out sparks of electricity as they go. Clearly, they've been brought into life by the lightning strike. Gideon, you are up at the top of round 2.
So these creatures were doing lightning damage, not thunder damage, right?
Correct, it is lightning damage.
Mm-hmm. I do. I think what Gideon will do is, for the first time, pull out his lute harp, and he's gonna play on it and weave some of his fey magic into it, and cast dissonant whispers on one of the creatures.
Okay.
Whoever is closest.
One of the animated saplings. Okay, yes, they're all around you. Dissonant whispers.
It's a wisdom save, DC 17.
DC 17 wisdom save, and it fails. What happens?
I'm gonna have to roll some dice. So first of all, it's gonna use its reaction to move away from me, triggering opportunity attacks.
Indeed. Okay.
And it takes some damage. It takes 13 damage.
13 damage is enough, and your dissonant whispers just burst it out of existence, and it drops to the ground and becomes just normal blue sap.
All right, and with my bonus action, yeah, you know what this means. He's gonna activate his mantle of inspiration and say, everybody, move, and you get to move. You get 8 temporary hit points, and you can use your action to move.
Okay, let's go in turn order. Gideon, you first. Would you like to move?
I don't think I can move back into the tunnel. Like I can move out of combat range.
You can move further back into the tunnel, and you will be more than 5 feet away from this swarm of animated sap. So yeah, you will be out of melee range of them. Although they are incredibly fast, so if they were to pursue you, it seems likely that they could catch up to you.
And how close are the two, garden gnome creatures?
They're back in the tunnel with you guys. They're swarming around you guys and Urki, who's right at the entrance to the tunnel. And the guys, they're further off to the right as you go into the clearing.
Okay, but not too far off. So
no, about 25 feet away into the clearing. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I'll just move back a little bit, and that's my turn.
All right, you're back. You're out of range of these things. All right, Urki, you next.
Yeah. First of all, I made a mistake. I forgot my rage bonus is increased with the level up. So it's not a +2, it's +3, which means both my hits would have 2 more hit points on them.
Okay, so 4 more hit points of damage to this.
2 total.
2 total more damage to this
Yeah.
red-capped, blood-soaked beast. Okay, great. He's still alive.
Yeah, I think Urki's heading straight to them. He's running over to his new garden gnome friend. Which way started.
Reach out and touch someone. Okay, they're 25 feet away, so you can get right in there to get ready for melee combat if you choose to.
Great.
And Marshall, any move? The way is now clear. Urki is out of the
I will
bottleneck.
definitely come out, and I want to just basically keep visual contact with both parties. Just kind of split the difference between the Gideon and Urki.
Like a good cleric in sight range. Okay, Gideon, back to you. Anything else with your turn?
That was my action and bonus action, so my turn is done.
All right, Urki, you are up. You are standing next to Mr. and you presume Mrs. Bloodthirsty Murdering Gnome Beast.
Urki's gonna start swinging.
All right.
That's 17 for. Okay, remember it's a 15 damage.
Which one are you swinging at?
19. Oh, the almost dead.
The almost dead one. So that's enough. How do you finish him off?
I think.
Or do you knock him out? You have the option to knock him out.
No, I'll knock out the next one. I think I'm going to kill him with his own boots.
Right. All right.
I'm gonna pull a boot off and just crush his face into the mud.
Just never kick me.
It's like boot punch.
And that's enough to do it. And into the muddy ground he goes. And as he goes down into the mud, and as you begin pounding him further, he actually dissolves into the ground itself, leaving only a little red puddle where his hat once was. Okay, you've got another attack. You can.
His blood and mud, Rainley smiles, looks at the other one. He's like a nightmare staring at her. She can smell the orc stain on his breath. Takes another swing. That'll hit for 20 damage.
20 is a lot of damage. All right. And she is now looking pretty bad, having been hacked away at by you. Anything else?
That'll do it. I think he's just ready and waiting.
Ready and waiting. Okay. She looks up at you. Says, "My husband." And she swings with her sickle over and over and over. We have got, let's see, an AC 15, and she's a +6. Unfortunately, only one of her attacks hits. And so she is clearly flustered at the death of her mate, and she goes hacking away at Urki, but only lands 9 points of slashing damage, which you can reduce down to 4.
All right. God, I love rage mode.
Marshall, you are up.
Okay. Having seen that whatever dissolved and seeing that the thing went up in the blood stuff, can I try to? I want to attack with my cantrip of whatever my flame thing is, sacred flame.
Sacred Flame.
But can I try to aim for the hat?
If you roll well enough, yeah. Yeah, you
That's
can
what I'm
aim
gonna
for the
try to
hat.
shoot for.
Okay.
Looks weird. 25.
25 is a solid hit. Okay, roll up that damage.
It's horrible. 12.
12 points of damage. Okay. This thing is now clearly bloodied up. You do manage to guide some of your sacred energy into the hat. And as you do, you hear a chorus of screams, of cries of different people. Give me an Arcana check.
I just wanted to knock the hat off. I didn't want to have an existential dilemma.
You're in my world now.
That creeps me out, man.
17.
17 is good enough. You know that this creature has been soaking its hat in the blood of its victims. And as your sacred energy hits the hat, you hear the cries of all of its past victims. And you know that the hat is sustaining its weird life through blood, which it harvests with this sickle.
That really upsets Marshall to hear that anguish, and he gets very kind of solemn a little bit, and like, whatever you do, destroy this thing. And that's it.
Okay. 5 saplings remain, and they see Gideon flee. I guess they're not massively sentient, but they just swarm the group. 2 against Marshall. Let's see, 10 and a 19 is a hit, so that's 8 points of lightning damage, and 3 swarm. Actually, they're all going to swarm Marshall. They're not going to go over toward Gideon because you can take a swipe at them. 25, 20, and 15. Okay, so 2 more. So that's going to be another 16 points of lightning damage as you just are getting lit up like Christmas Day over there. How you looking, by the way, with all these little zaps?
Let me just put the math in there really quick. The temp definitely helped. Not quite bloody, but
Not quite bloody, but not quite great. Okay. And with that, Gideon, you are up.
Right. What will Gideon do? I think he will once again cast Dissonance Whispers on one of the lightning creatures.
Okay.
So wisdom save.
Wiz save. DC 17 wisdom save. And gotta land it in the thing. No. Your dissonant whispering strategy is seeming to go well. Roll up your damage.
It's 12 damage.
12 is enough, and another one of these things bursts out of existence and drops to the ground as ordinary sap. It crackles there for a minute and then settles into the ground, lifeless.
Yeah, seeing that this cleric friend is in trouble, he will try to take out as many of those things as he can as quickly as possible. And he will turn towards, after felling one of these creatures, he's going to turn towards Marshall and say, hold on, father, there is no greater companion than you, and you feel Bardic inspired. So the next time you roll a D20, you can add 28.
Thank you, my friend, for your kind words.
Excellent.
Says, we all know that, but you have to say it out loud.
Okay. Erky, you are up next, standing in front of Mrs. Claus.
So the hat's on the ground.
No, the hat is still on her. The other one, who you literally smashed into the ground, his hat dissolved into a black, red puddle of blood. No, he didn't actually knock it off, but he did cause it to cry out with the voices of its victims.
Cool. I'm gonna attack her. That is so close to another 20.
Oh.
But it's a hit for 17.
17 points of damage is enough. What do you want to do?
It's enough. Well, I want to keep her alive, so I think I'll knock her unconscious by pulling her hat off her head and making her eat it.
Okay.
Stuffing it into her mouth and plugging her nose.
All right.
She
You pull the hat from her head and stuff it into her mouth. And disconnected from her hat, her body begins to wither and shrivel. And you see the sort of skull protruding from her face as she crumples down and begins melting into the earth. She is no more.
All right. Well, she's not unconscious then. I mean, she is.
She's very unconscious. She is one with nature once more.
She will not be regaining consciousness.
No.
Super unconscious.
That worked. I had a couple questions for her.
Yeah.
So Erky's gonna run up and whack a sapling.
All right, whack a sapling. Might as well. They're all swarming around Marshall's head. Go ahead and take aim at one of these things at disadvantage.
Okay.
They're incredibly fast.
So that's an 18, and that's a 16.
16 is just enough. They are AC 16s, so that is a hit. Roll up some damage.
Glad you did nat one and hit him in the head.
For another 20.
20 damage is plenty, and these things just go spattering out of the sky, and this one just lands on a far branch and just splats like a bug against it.
Paul Bunyan.
That's right. One fell whack. Okay, the red cap beasts are gone. That means Marshall, you are up.
How many more of those things? 3?
There are 3 left.
To heal or not heal is the question.
That is the question.
I feel comfortable. I'm gonna just shoot another sacred flame at one of those things.
All right, and that's a spell attack?
Actually, I think it's a. What did it do? Sorry.
Sacred frame? It's a cantrip.
Cantrip.
Is it attack or a saving throw?
Saving throw. Dex saving throw.
Dex saving throw. Okay, these things are incredibly fast. So, spell save DC?
1/6.
16, and it succeeds on that.
And I'll just kind of like, I don't know, move a little bit towards where the dissolved bodies were, but not right where they are, just in that direction, putting me and Erky next to each other.
Okay, yeah, you guys are shoulder to shoulder, not leaving melee range, I assume, of these
No.
of these weird lightning beasts. Positioning together, working together to take these things out. Okay. And they swarm around you once more. Marshall. 14, 9, and 23. One hit for 8 points of lightning damage as another one whizzes by you, and it's almost like the opposite of a bug zapper. It's like a zapping bug as you get hit by another lightning bolt. Gideon, you're up.
I am. Marshall is looking with a bloody man. I hate nature.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna play my lute and cast Toll the Dead on one of the saplings.
All right, Toll the Dead.
Wisdom save.
Wisdom save, not the wisest, and that's a fail as your bell rings out in its tiny consciousness. What happens?
It takes 9 psychic damage.
9 psychic damage. Okay, and it is reduced to a tiny droplet, but it is still whizzing around. This drop of bright blue sap.
Yeah, I think that's my turn.
Okay. Erky, you're up. Hey, batter. Sap thwap. All right. Sap thwap at dis.
Adding cleanup.
That's right.
Erky the half-orc.
That's right.
Home run derby action here.
All right.
That will hit for 11 damage.
And that's at dis, yeah?
Oh no.
Yeah. They fast.
Yes, I still hit.
Still hit. 16,
but
AC 16.
I got another nat 20 I don't get to use.
Oh.
It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
You're probably going to kill them, but not like really, really kill them, unfortunately. Yeah. Splatter rather than vaporize, I guess, would be the situation there. Yeah.
This one is it dead or 11 damage?
11 damage is enough. Yeah, you take it. You take it right out. So we're down to 1 badly wounded and 1 completely gone.
I'll swing at this guy. That's a 16.
It's just enough.
Nice. For what would be, come on, Cameron, you can do math. 13 damage.
13 is enough, and you spatter that sapling out of existence.
Terrific.
Father Marshall, there's one left. It is a tiny whizzing droplet that has been sort of stinging you on the nose as it goes around. This last little whizzing bit of incarnated sap.
Yeah, I'm done with this, and I'm not feeling well, and I'm upset by all the weird voices I heard from that cap, and so I'm gonna just do what I can to take it out on this thing, and I'm just gonna sacred flame it again.
Take out your aggression on nature. Roll it up.
Actually, it's another save again. Dex save.
Dex save. Okay, these things are pretty dexterous, but that is a 17. He makes it. His last little whizzing. He's actually become faster now that he's smaller, now that he's a tiny little droplet that he's been told away to almost nothing.
Just shooting fire bolts.
It's going to make its final attack against Marshall. 21 to hit. 8 more points of lightning damage.
Blasting.
And Gideon, you're up.
Someone take care of that.
It's allow me, and once again cast Troll the Dead on the last remaining things.
All right, DC 17 Whiz save is a fail.
Hey, I got it.
You got it.
So we'll see. 9 damage.
Plenty. And this final little droplet, having been zapping Marshall as it whizzes around his head, splats to the ground. And the rain begins to pick up, and the blue of the sap and the red puddles of the weird creatures' bloodied hats begin swirling together with the brown mud, making this kind of sick kaleidoscope in the burrows. And we are out of turn order.
How do you feel, Father?
I feel horrible. And
I
could definitely use a drink.
I must
I
say,
felt better myself.
perhaps you should take a breather then. But I must say, Father, I've seldom seen you lose your temper like that before. What happened?
When I struck that creature's hat with my spell, I heard voices, a din of voices, almost indistinguishable from each other, but the only thing I could tell was that they were voices calling in English, and they felt like they were the voices of the creatures that thing had killed, and it just was... I've heard many voices of the dead before, but not that much anguish, and it was really disturbing to me.
Curious.
Pardon me, my friends. Let me take a minute to mend my wounds. Well, how's Erky looking?
He's felt better. He's felt better.
I'll heal yourself.
Need to pick me up.
Little espresso. For more Spain.
Yeah. Let me roll out my fancy dinner cloth.
Yeah, you got that. That'd be a great covering for all of the blood and sap and mud in the current situation. You could just throw it right over there. Yeah, your lace tablecloth is not looking so good if you brought it with you on this adventure.
Just wiping blood. Dinner cloth. Can't think of anything else to do with it.
It's basically starting to look tie-dyed at this point with all the different colors going on. Tie-dyed lace.
I'm gonna do a quick mass healing word, and Gideon's fine, right? No, let me Gideon take any damage.
It took a little bit. It's fine.
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah,
Oh,
one
okay,
hit.
then you get, because it's gonna be a bunch of creatures that I can see. So you get it. Right, let me roll it up. That was the 2, 4.
Well, yes, indeed, Feywild is home to many wondrous creatures, but I do sense that these creatures may have come from the darker parts of the Feywild. I believe I may have heard about such creatures before. They are indeed quite unpleasant.
Let's hope they didn't have any children.
Indeed.
I'm glad I let her eat her own hat.
Everyone can take 10 points of healing.
Yes.
Great.
Is Erky still bloodied?
Not bloodied, no. He's doing okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. This interface is so weird.
No worries.
This is curious, however. They did say that the veil here in these tunnels to the Feywild was thin, and it is indeed. These creatures are of the Feywild, so I'm wondering how they found their way here. There might be an opening somewhere.
Our patron mentioned that her son was of the business sort and that he was doing something to clear it. Perhaps he disturbed something here, and I don't know. Maybe they're trying to keep things or people out.
Hmm.
Whatever
Yeah,
the
this.
case is, I feel like maybe finding him as we're charged might answer some of these questions for us.
Mhm. My hopes are that he's still alive when they found him, because if these creatures would have found him first, it might not look good for him.
If these
Agreed.
creatures have been here a long time, they've probably taken a lot of children. It's good we're clearing them out.
Can I look to see the lace now?
Yes, there's a small scrap of white lace. It's been spattered with a tiny bit of blue sap.
Can I try to discern if it seems, even though it's a little bit of it, if it seems similar to the lace that we saw in our patron's, I forget her name.
Yeah, Halia Hornblower's hut. Say that 5 times fast. Yes, give me an investigation check.
Not that I'm an expert.
Let's have a look at
in
that lace.
Oh, by the stitching. Investigation.
Mhm.
So yeah, I got a flat 9.
Flat 9. No such luck. It is definitely lace.
I found some lace.
Curious place to find lace.
Indeed. But if this is any indication, then perhaps we are on the right track.
None of the creatures were wearing lace, I believe.
Not that you noticed. No. They didn't seem like the lace-wearing types, those two. That lovely couple you encountered earlier.
Charming couple.
They were a cute couple, but they weren't dressed in lace, no.
Jean and Charles, child killer.
Yes. Oh, you know their names. You met them. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's absolutely right.
I was at their wedding.
Yeah.
Have you met the child killers?
we met the child killers. Yes. All right. What's the plan? The clearing has several exits from it. It's a kind of domed, almost like an igloo, if you like, made of branch and twig, although bigger than a typical one. And there are several exits. There are 3 exits other than the one you came through.
Are there
Leading.
any cloggy footprints about?
Give me a nature check.
Nature check. That's a 16.
16 on nature. Give me a survival check as well.
And that is another 16.
16, very solid. Okay, with that combination, you do notice that there are, in fact, some deep marks further on in the muddy ground through the left tunnel that look like they could be the marks of some very tall heels, or in fact, clogs. They look like they've been made a while ago. They're filling up now with a bit of rainwater. And they're at an angle, as though either whoever was wearing them was tripping or perhaps being dragged and bouncing their heels along as they were dragged down the tunnel.
It looks like our friend may have gone dramatically that way, either on his own accord or because he was forced to. I suggest we go that way and keep our wits about us.
So you might still be alive then. Chidori.
We can only hope. All I know is I'm going to start taking these Feywild seriously.
All right, I'll say like, well, shall we press on? And then I want to cast resistance. I'm assuming Erky, you're going to take the lead in this again.
I suppose so.
Well, maybe this will help you a little bit, and I'll cast a resistance on him. So you get a D4 to any saving throw, just in case something else pops up in your face.
In your face.
Well,
I hate pop-ups, you know, I gotta say. I hate pop-ups.
absolutely.
It's my pop-up blocker.
Sure. D4 pop-up blocker.
Pop-up blocker.
All right, Erky in the lead. Same crawling order as before. Down the
I think
leftmost
so.
tunnel. Why not? It worked so well before for you guys. Keep up with a good thing.
I think before we proceed, Gideon's gonna say, okay, I see that you're not a fan of the Feywild, certainly not after that encounter. It's a pity though, it was my home for quite a long while. It is a very wonderful, wondrous place, lush nature and very, very colorful. But I usually just preferred the comforts within the halls of the Fey courts. I wish you could see it once, but it is quite hazardous place to venture if you're not from the Fey.
Well, it's certainly beautiful but dangerous, so I could see why you would feel some connection to it. I'd love to see your hall sometime if they have some good liquor.
Oh, absolutely, they have the best. Perhaps I can take you sometime. With me as your guide, you might be able to see the grand dance hall and the big ballrooms. But I'm not so sure if that's quite your thing.
I like watching dancing. Sometimes. Depends on the kind of dancing, but I'm guessing it's not the kind that's done in these halls.
All right, and as you're crawling your way through the next tunnel, making light banter, Erky, give me a perception check. Marshall, what are you up to by way of supporting the scouting effort?
Let me see here. Well, it's all just thorns and nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, stupid nature.
I feel a little out of place with that. Maybe I'm just kind of starting to pray to Osiris a little bit. Since that we are kind of under the charge of a patron of Osiris, that maybe Osiris grant me a little favor.
All right, saying a little prayer for this place. Yeah,
My perception was a 13, but I don't know when passive perception comes in.
passive perception is what came in when Erky got initially triggered that trap, for example. So if Gideon were in the lead, for example, Gideon might have spotted the trap as such before it were triggered,
Okay.
whereas Erky has a lower
this
passive
is-
perception.
This is when you're actively.
Yeah, when you're actively doing something, you use your wisdom perception bonus, and when you're just going along, hoping for the best, that's when the DM gets to use your passive. Okay, 13.
Comes down the street to hit you.
And a prayer to Osiris. Marshall, let's see, what would that be? Let's call that wisdom, and you can add your religion bonus if you are proficient in religion. I'm into the weird checks tonight. I don't know. I'm into the weirdies.
Religion. I think I did choose that one. That is 23.
Nice. With that, Osiris answers your prayer, albeit briefly. And you hear that weird celestial androgynous voice of your deity saying, "You have traveled through the darkest part. Now you will travel into the light. Do not be afraid." And Gideon, you're just chalking up little calligraphy, practicing your fanciest swirls on branches and trees. All right.
But seeing how Erky advanced the last time and triggered a trap, I think he would also just turn towards Erky and say, yeah, cast aside your doubts, my friend, and give him bardic inspiration to help him in future scenarios.
This was an IRL game. You guys would be like handing each other dice, like all the,
Yeah.
you'd be like just like chucking dice at you. Here, roll all of these. I love it.
So
Such a helpful group.
that's another D4.
1d8.
8.
Or
1d8.
So you
you
should
can
have
add-
a D8 and a D4 now.
All right. That's really great.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. And as you make your way through the tunnels, again, give me an investigation check. Just make sure you guys don't double back unnecessarily.
Say that again?
An investigation check as you're chalking up and marking, trying to keep the party from
This is great. I got a 6.
a
investigation.
6. Okay. And you guys are winding your way through this tunnel. You come to an opening, and it opens up into another dome-shaped clearing with a couple of puddles of red blood at the far corner and a load of blue sap swirling around. It's clear that Gideon missed the signals, and you have traveled in a very large circle, basically going out the leftmost entrance and going round and round and round the bushes and back in the very next entrance to the clearing you were in earlier.
So we went, we came into the igloo, and then we went one way in, and then we came out. So we know where 3
You
of
know,
them
two of
is.
them connect, so there's
Two.
only one. There's only kind of one left. Although there were a couple of twists and turns previously there
Okay.
that you think you may have taken a wrong turn, and it doubled you back
Mhm.
into the igloo.
My apologies, my friends. I believe this is the way, and it's just the one that we haven't taken yet.
All right, and you guys
Always certain.
crawl your way back through, and this time it's a left instead of a right. And up ahead, Urki, you notice a kind of a momentary flickering light, kind of a little golden spark up ahead, just kind of whizzing around in the tunnels. And as you come further and further, the tunnel begins to widen gradually and get wider and wider, as well as taller and taller, until you finally can stand up again after an agonizing time crawling through this tunnel. And it opens into a very large clearing, about at least about sort of 60 feet in diameter, which is large for these tunnels anyway. And it goes back quite a long way, probably another good 60 feet from where you are. And at the far end of it, you see a beautiful tree growing up. And bound to the tree, wrapped around with thick vines, is a rather dandily dressed halfling male with curly red locks. One of the vines is going straight across his mouth, but as he sees your enormous frame rise up into the standing room chamber, his eyes widen and he goes back against the tree in fright.
Erky instinctively crouches, puts a hand back to motion to his group, and then puts his finger up to his mouth to the halfling, and then points to the group. I think we found him, and there may be something afoot.
Mm-hmm. I cast Detect Magic on myself and stealthily move forward.
Detect magic on... Yep, so that you can detect anything of a magical nature.
Within 30 feet of me.
Within 30 feet of you. Okay, and give me a stealth check as you move forward into the chamber, trying to be as quiet as you can. You're a half-elf, so you don't get the Mask of the Wild, right?
No, I do not. I'm rolling low today. 8.
8, okay, yeah. You go stealthily tripping over vines and rattling branches and
Branch cracks.
cracks, crunch. It's classics kind of Scooby-Doo move. And yes. Marshall, what are you up to?
I think what I want to do is try to I guess just maybe just look around to see if I observe anything, like anything waiting to be set on us as best as I can. I'm not like proficient in that. I don't want to engage or do anything, but I definitely want to like look around. I'm a little
Okay.
bolstered by Osiris's words. I'm a little. Actually, sorry, scratch that. I'm bolstered by Osiris's prayer, and I want to see if I can kind of just move in a little bit, not stealthily, but just quietly to see if I can get a better lay of the area.
Okay. Yeah. Give me a perception check as you look around. And let's see. We've got a detect magic from our buddy Gideon. Just want to check one thing about that.
I got a 21.
Very solid. So, Gideon, you with your detect magic, notice that there are some creatures who are both invisible and magical, flying through the air. They seem to they're flying in a particular pattern, backward and forward, across in an arc in front of the bound halfling male. Give me an insight check to see if you can figure out what it is they're up to. Meanwhile, Marshall, with your very good perception, you know that something is up here. Every once in a while, one of the leaves sort of gently twitches, as though a small insect or bug had alighted on it. And then another little leaf twitches, and back and forth in a rhythmic pattern. It is clear something is up, you think, probably with the foliage here, as it is almost sort of dancing back and forth.
I got a 19 inside.
19 is very strong. And you are a former dweller within the Feywild. So you know that these creatures, these magical creatures, are guarding. They are patrolling like soldiers would march back and forth, although they are flying through the air. And though you cannot see them, only a faint glow around their magical bodies, you believe that they are sprites. And that if they were visible, they would appear like tiny little elven creatures with the wings of dragonflies. But you know also that they are fierce little warriors who take themselves and their job of protecting the natural world very seriously indeed.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to alert my party and say, we are not alone here. There are invisible sprites flying around this halfling that appear to be guarding him. I've encountered such creatures before, but I do not think that they are the power behind this plot. There is more to it. Do advance with caution.
Yeah, this appears to clearly be a trap.
Are we still seeing that golden light, Erky?
Give me a perception check, Erky. Let's see how you're doing. The others are a little more tuned into this magic, but let's see how you do.
That's another 13.
13. Yeah, you're not quite seeing what the others are here. You see a guy bound up by a tree. You're not quite feeling the whole magical, mystical vibe that your compatriots are describing.
And there's no real way to go around, right? We're still in a bit of a tunnel situation.
Yeah, this is kind of a dead end, this chamber. There is what looks like maybe a passage off to the right. You could kind of hack your way through just beyond where the halfling is being bound and held. But mostly...
There's not very many places to hide.
Or for someone to pop out from. No, it doesn't seem like an obvious... Yeah, you're given your kind of military background. It doesn't seem like an obvious ambush to you.
Right. I don't know what to do here.
I feel like we have, that appears to be who we're looking for. And we have an option do we try to stealthily or quietly remove him? Or should we just go in there and make our presence known and deal with whatever comes.
I don't think stealth is an option here. These are quite ferocious warriors, even though they are quite small. But I wonder what else is in here with us. And looking around the room, there's no other exit or anything else present in the room?
There's a little bit of a kind of sort of, you could make a tunnel, let's say, off to the right if you needed to kind of hack your way out of here, but it mostly looks fairly enclosed. The tree itself and a lot of the foliage around the bound up halfling is faintly pulsing as well with a magical aura. It's clear to you that this whole place is very much enchanted.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but maybe we should talk to them?
Ian just stops and turns.
And by we, I don't mean me. What if I hid? Because we'd seem less threatening without me. And if anything goes wrong, I can surprise them.
Right? Then maybe we approach it a little more diplomatically, Gideon?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly we can try to address them, although I am cautious. These are not always the most friendly of sorts.
I can tell you this, my friends. Let me prepare something. I can summon my friends that can create a perimeter around us to give us some breathing room should things go awry. Sorry. If you think that's wise, just in case, we can just have that ready. And if that's the trigger, then Erky, you can come in and help us fight. But perhaps we should see what's going on first.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I have one more recommendation. We should call to them from here. The closer we get, the more traps we might release. Hopefully they'll come to us.
Very well. So, should we get this show on the roll?
Yeah,
Shall I proceed?
Erky runs over to a tree and pulls out his rage. He's all ready. He's fired up back there.
In the locker room, basically, pumped up.
If it, where's that? Where the pictures are?
Yeah.
The bullpen.
Yeah, it's a bullpen. Practice.
Gideon's gonna get on the phone to call Erky. Get Erky ready.
Get him ready. Get him ready.
If it goes sideways, which it probably will, Gideon, I'll try to focus on releasing the halfling. So can I prep a spell?
Certainly, yes. When you prep a spell, you do use the slot, whether or not you use the spell. And I need to know the trigger.
Yeah. My prep is going to be my spirit guardians. And it's where the little angel cherub things float around me.
Yes.
And create a perimeter. And anything coming into there that's not one that I denote is going to take damage. And then they're also going to have to do a wisdom save. All that fun stuff. I'm going to select my party and the halfling as the ones that are immune from their attacks.
Okay.
And then my trigger will be is if we're attacked.
If you're attacked, in come the death cherubs to fight off the sprites. Okay. Excellent.
And then,
you're ready.
Yeah, I guess, go ahead.
And I'm just going to cast it. I'm going to cast it at a higher level just in case. I actually have one 5th level slot. So it just adds more damage.
All right.
So I guess we're gonna get this started. Let's. So Gideon is gonna walk forward a little bit, and he's gonna call out with his most charming, most friendly face, and say, "My friends, I am sorry, I do not mean to intrude, but I'm curious. What is going on here?"
What language are you speaking?
Sylvan,
Absolutely in Sylvan. Ah. And as you do, you see these tiny sprites flicker into visibility. You all see them. They look like little men and women. There are a total of 6 of them, and they have one has kind of spiky hair, another's dressed in war paint. Little tiny Peter Pan-like creatures, and each of them carries a longbow and a tiny sword fastened from a little twig. The one who clearly appears to be the leader, the largest, though none of them can be called large, with the most sort of magnificent, sort of iridescent wings, flutters forward, and you hear it like a moth hovering around in the air, and comes over to Gideon and says, "Who are you? Who are you, and what do you want?"
I'm so happy that you ask. My name is Gideon the Gilded. Pleasant to meet you, sir.
So, yes, sir, yes. What brings you to our forest?
I was just just wondering, and I was in fact looking for this gentleman. You see, his mother is quite upset that he's been missing. So, why are you keeping him here?
His mother should be ashamed of him. This man is an absolute fool and an abomination. He needs to be taught a lesson. Are you a friend of his?
I am a friend of everybody, of course. I'm always eager to make new friends.
If you're a friend of his, then you are an enemy of the forest. The others take their little tiny bows off of their shoulders, and one of them begins fiddling with his tiny twig sword.
Oh, hold on, please, gentlemen. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
And lady, one of them cries out.
I do apologize, my lady. Yeah. So, what is the charges? What has this man done?
He was going to destroy the entire Burrows. He was going to slash and burn our homelands.
Mm-hmm. Well, I severely doubt that he meant to destroy the whole Burrows. What do you say to these accusations towards you, addressing the halfling?
He has a thick vine covering his mouth, and he says,
"Ah, you see, he
going
must
red.
be very sorry."
He doesn't look sorry. You should hear some of the things he called us. They weren't nice. No, they weren't nice at all. I wasn't impressed. They're talking amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that would be quite a hideous crime indeed. You should definitely learn to watch his mouth and hold his mouth when needed. But I believe you have been keeping here for quite some time. I'm certain you would have learned his lesson by now.
We need some assurance. We need some reassurance that he's not going to destroy our homeland.
Well, I guess it would be much easier for this gentleman to speak for himself if we were to remove his bindings.
Come closer. Come closer. You who speak with a gilded tongue.
I do. Proceed.
And this creature flutters up next to you and closes its eyes and reaches out its tiny hand and presses its small hand to your chest, just here, to your heart. And
I don't know if I get an action.
you get a charisma savings throw.
Hey. Is this charm effect?
It is not. It is not a charm effect, and it is not an attack.
16.
16. Okay. And what would you say is Gideon's current emotional state? How is he feeling? How is he really feeling, confronted with these little creatures?
Mm-hmm. Well, as always, he has a very, very courtly, very reserved facade. He He is slightly nervous, of course, for being surrounded with these certainly very capable fighters. But he also feels he's acting so much confident that he also feels confident for a bit. He has dealt with fake creatures before, and he feels certain he's on his home turf, basically.
Mm-hmm. You're one of us. Why then would you come seeking him?
Well, this whole circumstance has broken his mother's heart, you see, and I simply seek to make things for the better. I'm sure we can come to some kind of arrangement. Since we are all friends here, allow me to introduce my friends. And it's gonna point out Marshall, certainly.
All right, and 4 sprites immediately begin swarming around your head, Marshall. They have this sort of shimmering golden light that trails them as they kind of swirl around you. And one of them reaches forward and says, "Hold still," and places its hand upon your chest. You can give me a charisma save.
Do I understand them?
They speak to you in common. Yes, they say hold still in common.
You are still inspired,
Right.
if you want to use it.
Yeah, pretty good charisma. 17.
17. And what is your current emotional or psychological state? How is Marshall feeling about?
Well, Marshall just kind of not a fan of nature, but he sees that he really wants to help that person. That's his primary thing. He feels like here is a being in danger, and he wants to assist and help them. But at the same time, having heard Osiris's voice assuring him that the worst part has happened and that we're walking into the light a little bit, he feels kind of calm and reserved, but at the same time wants to kind of radiate he kind of radiates that confidence or that feeling of helping in the light.
Right.
Gets a little tied to his healing a little bit. That's where the healing comes from.
This one has good intentions as well. But what about that one over there? And they point at Urki doing his best tree impersonation, seething and ready to attack these things. And 4 of them swarm and swirl around your head as well, Urki. And one of them
Right.
says to you in common, "You hold still as well." And it reaches out its hand and touches Urki's chest. You can give me a charisma saving throw.
So I'll use my bardic inspiration
All right.
on top of my +0 to.
You also have resistance. You have a D4.
Oh, so I get to use them both. That's great. So, it's an 18 by itself. I'll
Hey.
use them. I'll save them.
All right. What
Plenty.
is your current psychological state, Urki dear?
Ricky is impatient with all the talk. He sees this going the direction of fighting or hurrying this along. Give them something they'd like so we can get this damn halfling back and he can go get some drinks. He doesn't like fighting tiny things. It's just not very satisfying. And he's just waiting for the next move. And he's pissed. He's grumpy as hell. And that's about it.
The little sprite removes his hand from your chest and
He
says,
also doesn't like this halfling at all.
No. This one is grumpy and possibly a bit of an alcoholic. But he agrees with us that this guy's a jerk. So, the enemy of my enemy. He's okay too. All right. So, Golden Sun guy, what are you going to do to reassure us this guy's not going to screw up our burrows?
Well, that seems like a conversation we should be having with him as well. Should it not?
Okay, I'll warn you. I'll warn you right now. I'm going to remove that vine, but it's you that wanted me to do it.
Please do.
All right, guys. Go on. Remove the vine. Two little sprites fly over, and they begin prizing the huge vine that is across Thulro Hornblower's mouth. And as soon as his mouth is released from the vine, he begins spewing expletives at the little sprites. And he just goes off, his face getting red, and then finally turning to purple as he cries out, "You midgets! You nothings! You tiny gnats! I poop bigger than you! I can't stand you things! You ants! You flying monsters! I hate every one of you! I will eat you! I will tear off your legs! I'll tear off your legs, and then I'll tear off your head! I'll fuck your wings out! Your
Can Marshall run up and slap him?
Yes, Marshall can. Go and give me an unarmed strike.
14.
Yeah, he's an AC 10. Okay, you land. You land a solid blow, and his face turns to one side, and he sort of regains his composure and looks up at you, and he says, "Thank you, Father. What are you doing here?"
I have come here at the request of your mother, and she would be abhorred at the bile and streams of rot that's coming from your mouth from these people. You will find your tongue, sir, and you will place it quietly and not say another disparaging word here. We are here to take you home. We are here to save you, and you are not going to mess that up.
Give me an intimidation.
You really are making
Persuasion. No, I think that was like a 50-50 or persuasion and intimidation. You can pick, is what I'm saying. You can pick persuasion or intimidation, whatever you.
Persuasion's better than
Yeah, go for it.
17 persuasion.
17 is pretty solid, and he's pretty flustered, and that hit landed pretty solidly too on his cheek. He looks at you and says, "I hate the little people. Please take me home. Please take me home so I don't cry in front of them." He's bound up in the vines. "What reassurances do we have? What say you?"
I have an idea. Can I look through my pack for some parchment?
Indeed. A lovely
My
piece
friends,
of parchment.
I am not adept at these lands. I am not of these places. Where I come from, where he comes from, there are different laws that we abide here by. Here you might be abiding by the laws of the nature of water, of the seasons. But he abides by laws of men and people. So what I have here, I will produce, is what we call a contract. A contract is an agreement between people or places or businesses assuring that they're going to do things or not do things based on that agreement. If it works for you, with us as witnesses, we will make him sign this contract to give whatever assurances you need that while it might not make sense to you, it is something that makes sense to him.
Did you catch any of that? Yeah, some of it. He talks a lot, doesn't he? Yeah, he talks a lot. Those are big words in common. Okay, so if he writes his name on this parchment, then he's not going to destroy our homes. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I am saying, and we will be witnesses to that fact.
And if he does, you'll kill him.
If he does, we will handle the situation by the laws of the contract.
That doesn't sound like killing him. Does that sound like killing him to you? I don't know. I don't know. I think we should, I think we should have killed him when we had the chance, but, Eldar said we had to just keep him bound up and teach him a lesson. All right, okay, all right. If you'll get him off our hands, if you'll get him to stop saying that stuff, and if you'll get him to stop destroying the Burrows, make him write his name on the paper. And you can have him.
I will do that. And Marshall's going to quickly try to write a contract that gives all that stipulation.
Right.
What to roll for that?
Give me a common law check. Yes, no. Okay, great. Yeah, no, very good. So that's going to be probably intelligence for sure. What do you got? You got history in there?
Yeah, a little bit of history.
All right, yeah, go. All right. Hook me up with an intelligence history check. Let's see how solid a contract you make here. The most exciting part of D&D, writing out legal contracts. D&D Corporate Law Edition.
Unnatural 20.
Ooh, solid. Okay. This is a binding agreement, no pun intended. And Thulro looks it over, reads it a couple of times, trying to find a loophole or some way that he can get out of it. Finally, he says, all right. I'll take my business elsewhere. He scribbles Thulro at the bottom of the contract. All right, he wrote his name. He's free to go. That's good. He's not going to destroy the Burrows, right?
No, he will not. Otherwise, he will be in violation of this agreement, and then he will be subject to the full penalties therein.
Okay, so he'll be killed?
He will be dealt with.
Close enough. Okay. All right. He's yours.
Thank you, kind sir.
He's the sir. I'm the madam.
Oh, thank you, madam.
It's okay. It's a short hair.
Understood. Thank you.
All right. And the vines slacken of their own accord. And Thulro stands up, and one of his two clogs is missing. He is completely lopsided, but unwilling to take off his second clog. And so he hobbles sideways forward into
He's back to
Burrows.
I think he's learned a valuable lesson.
This makes it all worth it. Why don't you take the lead, he says.
He's just
Be walking.
he's just at about 45 degrees all the way, walking down the long hallway.
He looks a bit like Prince.
He does. He's got this totally shredded lace and just patchy, scampy bits of velvet. And as he goes walking, he's sapping his hair, just a swirl of blue sap, and he's all still slightly purple-faced. And as he's walking down, creatures of the forest line up on either side. Bunny rabbits and small fawns, and bigger full-horned deer, some badgers. They all line up on either side as he walks down, and it is clear they are glaring at him. And you swear, Gideon, that you hear one or two of these creatures cursing at him in Sylvan as he walks.
Making it even funnier.
This
The rabbits judging him.
Shame.
And he walks this walk of shame down out of the main chamber and gets down on his knees and begins dragging his one long boot through the tunnel out of the burrows. And I think we'll end there for tonight.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, excellent. Oh,
I
good.
will forever have the memory of being silently judged by forest animals. On a walk of shame, no less.
Yes, the forest animal walk of shame. Ah, all right. Well played, you guys. So we're gonna take 30 seconds to catch our breaths, and then we'll be back with the debrief and see if anybody wants to ask any questions about the adventure. So feel free if you're in Twitch or on YouTube to fire any of your thoughts or comments into the chat, or on Facebook in the comments there as well. We'll be back in 30 seconds or something.
You're back.
So
We're back. Okay, a few nice comments on YouTube and some on Twitch. How did that go, guys? How was that adventure?
Oh, it was great fun. My cheeks are hurt.
well, half-orcs always love when a mission ends with no fighting, and you have a resistance and a bardic inspiration and an inspiration point that you don't use. They always love a good long talk.
Let's talk it out here at the end. Let's climax with conversation. Conversation
let's-
climax. Yeah.
Personally, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I just love that that's how a session would end without some great, wood beast come in and fight. This was talking, doing the diplomacy route. It's pretty cool. And,
Yeah, Mario with Marshall was great with the diplomacy with it when you pulled out that contract. Oh, it was wonderful.
I started thinking like this guy's like a corporation guy, business guy, and he is definitely encroaching on them. And while they might not understand it, he
like
definitely
that.
understands it.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, nobody expects the legally binding ending to your D&D
the notary mission.
That's right. That's right. Who knew? Who knew it in that way? Yeah, half-orc.
Notary, add that notary.
That's right. Yes, yes. Level 9 clerk. Level 1 notary. Public.
Notary.
You've multi-classed into notary at this point. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Magical legendary stamp.
Oh.
Yeah, I woke up this morning like, I bet this mission will have some fancy tablecloths and some notary stuff. That's how I
You're going, I really hope this mission has some lace.
This is our second one, and I truly don't know what to expect at this point. Let's stay on sharks.
It'd be great if we encountered a file clerk.
Alrighty.
Excellent. Well, yeah. So, favorite moments, stuff that went unexpectedly, any and all of that stuff. Like Mario, what was your anything that was highly unexpected, or anything that was highly expected, or what are you thinking?
I think part of it for me definitely was just trying to get my character to adapt to this environment.
Yeah.
Is one that, because your characters can't be a master of everything and every part of it, and we didn't have any rangers or even rogues or any sort of like stuff like that to help us in this environment. So it's like well, we're just gonna suffer through some thorns in our face and little bugs biting us and whatnot. But I think because of that, the contrast with the ending is just so crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know, just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, we have this in total nature and powerful things, and now we're just gonna get down to paperwork. That was just really funny.
I just signed the paperwork and off we go. Great. All right. So cool. So the unexpected ending kind of made it. Randy, Gideon was in kind of home turf. How was that? Was that expected
Well,
or
well,
unpleasant?
I mean, right at the beginning, you said there's something like kind of like a Feywild flavor to this session, possibly, and I didn't immediately think like, oh, damn, now what's gonna happen now? Now my character's gonna be in the spotlight, perhaps.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it's great fun. I mean, Gideon was like trying. I mean, he always just tries to charm his way out of a confrontation and then to make friends. So he was really trying to get to become friends with that garden gnome thing. But I mean, meta, I do I mean, believe that they're like evil creatures and stuff. But I mean, he was still trying. But yeah, then later I did like the ending with the final confrontation where we could just role play and then interact with fake creatures.
Nice.
on a friendly in a friendly way.
At a friendly basis. No tiny arrows were fired at the end there, although they were close. Yeah, I think Cameron, Erky got a few good hits in, but this wasn't necessarily a few Fritz in. Yeah, he wasn't necessarily a super combat focused adventure, and yet we heard him say, maybe I should use my words. So how was that?
It was cool. I mean, I'm finding more and more, like, whenever I play a game of any RPG nature, I lean towards being a noble person and doing the right thing. It's just kind of how I go. But being chaotic neutral is fun because I don't always agree with his choices.
Right.
And, he's sadistic at times, and I can't ignore that. When he beats someone to death with their own boo and then turns to their wife, makes her choke on her own blood-soaked hat, with a sinister grin in the rain. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go there, but I'm going there.
I'd call that sadistic. Yeah, I think that counts.
Yeah,
that counts. Yeah,
it's overkill. It's
yeah.
overkill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal. So, yeah, I mean, this is, again, it's fun. It's fun with the more I'm finding, the more opinionated your character is.
Yeah.
No matter what the situation, you're gonna have a good time. And in this case, Erky's fighting little creatures, and he's looking for a halfling with a mother who's into doilies. So he's just really not interested in being here.
Yeah.
But you never know where that's gonna lead. I mean,
Yeah.
at any point at the ending, that could have gone horribly wrong. He's so grumpy and so over it. If Marshall wasn't going to intimidate that guy, Erky was more than happy to. I thought, man, Erky might screw this all up. They might get into a big fight. So yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's a good one.
I was certainly looking towards you and on camera, and then wondering what Erky was gonna do in that situation when they started swarming you and stuff.
Yeah, I did too. Definitely kept you for third, because good things come in threes like that. Yeah.
Don't poke the bear, please. Don't poke.
Yes,
the
please.
Yeah.
That nuanced part where you're. I think the game playing of where, okay, I know how I feel. I know what I would do, or I know what I would do if I was in the forest.
Again, zapped by sap, yeah.
But like in general, I think that the funnest part for me in playing the character is to remember the limitations, to remember, well, this person wouldn't do this person wouldn't do that because they don't like these kind of people, or they're not good at that. And so always, to me, playing that role part of it is just the fun part of trying to get that right. I mean, nobody's perfect, obviously, but trying to get that right, and when it happens, it is so much fun. It's just so appealing to me.
One of the things I love about this crew is that you guys do stay true to character, but you don't end up like blocking each other or stopping the story from happening, if that makes sense. there is a certain kind of, oh, well, my character just wouldn't do that, that just kind of grinds things to a halt. But I've never experienced that. And I don't know if you guys are conscious of that, but it's definitely a thing that dungeon masters come across where you go, well, my character just wouldn't go on that adventure. But you guys are all game as people, right? And so you find a way to, I don't know how you do that balance, right, between I'm true to my character and I know there's a story here that's going to be fun if I go along with the story arc. Do you ever find that in conflict, or do you ever find yourself like grappling with that, or does it just kind of come naturally?
Well, for me, I think I kind of approach this as this is a communal experience.
Yeah.
This is all of us working together to try to get that. And I do think some of the experience weighs into that, to knowing like, well, I know what our overall goal is, and I don't want to be the one like stepping on other people's toes. So while Marshall could hardline certain things, I wouldn't do that because, like you said, that closes us off to give opportunity. Even if it comes in conflicts with the other player characters, I'm okay with that to a certain degree, but I don't want that just to take away from the whole experience. I think it's a little like theater, where it's like, okay, we're in this together, and if you don't give me anything to work with, then it's just going to be pretty flat,
right?
Or we're not going to get to where we want to go,
right?
To a certain degree.
Right.
I don't think it's full on a performance, but yeah.
Yeah, but you are thinking about entertaining ourselves and each other at least, and not like not closing down the opportunity for fun. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It could be a matter of just the way these characters mix, but I just find that Erky admires Gideon and Marshall and their skill sets. Whether or not he understands them or would use them himself, I always kind of acknowledge and recognize that Erky admires them. Things, in our last session, Erky started his hand at trying to be a bit of a word
user. Yeah,
he's trying to use little cool action movie puns. Terrible, but from Gideon.
They were.
That's from being around Gideon, and Marshall has this. Speaking of chaotic neutral can go either way, but Marshall is so honest and pure in his sense of helping people, and what half-orc wouldn't admire, someone who's genuine, someone who's truthful. So he's always happy to go that direction. He prefers not to be the one in the lead. He doesn't like drawing attention to himself. So this group's nice. They do all the talking, and then he gets to swing an axe around. I think it's a really nice balance.
Complementary, and so you guys recognize that. I'm reminded of like comic book teams where they have friendly rivalries or whatever, and they're very different types, but they have a mutual respect. So maybe that's part of what lets the characters go. What about you, Randy? Have you ever felt like, oh, my character would do this, but this is so outside the story, or is you just kind of naturally, how do you navigate all that? I'm just curious.
Well, I think just in general, I echo a lot of your thoughts. I mean, it's a collective storytelling, so we're all part of the story basically. Not in this campaign or with these one shots, but with another time I've had a character that's very, very reluctant to go adventuring.
Right.
But I would always find a way to come back to the party one way or another. I mean, like once my character had like a familiar, and then the familiar would basically just rat her out, like go back and get the party back to her or something like that. I mean, I always just find a way to get the party back together. It's just a role play aspect that I really enjoy about the game, and I also enjoy watching the other players play their character and stay true to the character. I mean, it really helps to bring the character to life, and it makes it a better game and then better role play and enjoy.
Yeah, and like Mario said, it gives you something to work with when you're kind of true to your own character. You can bounce off each other. That's cool. I mean, one of the things a lot of DMs, I do these kind of office hours and talk to newer DMs, and one of the things that kind of comes up is how do I balance it when different players have different desires, and at least your different characters certainly have different desires. Like Erky has, there's one clear approach to solving a problem, and it involves a sharp blade. And Marshall's, got a different focus, and Gideon's got his own kind
Yeah,
of
all about talking. So
all
it's a very
about
diverse group.
all about being smooth. So it is a very diverse group. Um, so do you guys feel like you are getting your needs met? Do you ever feel sidelined? Or what's it like when one character really kind of takes the spotlight for a session? Like I felt like to some extent, Erky was really in the limelight in the previous session, and this one more. I mean, Marshall had the connection, he had the tie to the character, but in a lot of ways, Gideon was really the one kind of stepping forward in more his native Feywild terrain. I think DMs would love to hear from players like, what's the right balance? Do you ever feel sidelined? Are you happy to watch and go along with it? What is that? What is that experience? Because they get really nervous about it. They get really like, oh, I'm not doing enough combat, or I'm not doing enough exploration, or this one only wants to role play, or whatever. What's your guys' attitude toward all of that?
Well, I can imagine I've DM'd a little bit. So, I mean, I can imagine almost every DM would have like a feeling like, okay, like this session was very combat intense. I feel like we should go in another direction next time. So like it just flows into more of a balance, basically. We are a very diverse group. And like in a previous episode, I mean, Erky got to go full rage mode and then have a go at a shadow from his past. So yeah, I mean, this session was different. So I think also just we look to each other. I mean, I don't think we're a very diverse group, but our characters are never really in conflict with each other. I feel like we're more complementing each other.
Yeah, I agree. I think part of it too is just I think if you kind of don't have I don't know if it's I wouldn't want to even like try to think about what the reasons behind it, but like for me, like I know and I trust in you, Robert, and I trust in the group that we're okay. Maybe this is not a Marshall episode, maybe this is more of an Erky episode. So, but even in then, I'm there as part of the team, so I'm going to support that with the perspective and the knowledge that something down the line, not this, maybe not this session, not that session, or like in this one, a situation presented itself to where Marshall could kind of step up and do something.
Definitely.
And just kind of being aware of that a little bit. I think it's just as long as you just have, for me, the attitude of like, oh, I have to be the one. I have to be you can't be the hero that's going to save us all, because that's just going to not really be fun because you don't have that texture, that conflict, or the interaction with the other characters. Kind of allowing it to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, indeed. I kind of had that feeling, I think, when Gideon stepped forward towards the sprites and he started engaging conversation with them. And I kind of got a feeling like, okay, we're having conversation here, Gideon with the sprites, but he initiated the conversation, but I kind of wanted to pull the party in with me at some point, so he did.
Interesting.
Also putting you in danger, but you were supposed to be part of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's I think we benefit from there being 3 of us for a one shot, and we also benefit from knowing each other's characters, which just makes it interesting. So if Erky's not the focus, I know Marshall and Gideon well enough to just be lost in the story and engaged in what's going on. So it does make sense, at least for a one shot, that you're, and probably helps the DM too, that if everybody knows each other's characters and how they interact, and that there's not too many people. Once you get campaign mode with 6 people, there are times that you realize, I don't think I've even
spoken this game. Yeah.
Hour,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
This isn't my moment, and you're doing camera 1, camera 2. The group might be split up a bit, So it's still entertaining though. But for one shot, it seems to make sense that you don't have to spend any time, rounding these characters out and stuff. We're just jumping right in. Which is pretty fun, and but what I like about it is it continues to round Erky out. I keep finding new things. That last session, I realized how ironically, funny he can be, and this time I really kind of honed in on some sinister elements, and that goes back to campaign next time we play. So yeah, I'd say for DMs, there's a lot of opportunities here, but you probably want to be careful on how you're setting up a one shot. If you're just using brand new characters, it may be a little trickier.
Yeah, so having that background and that flavor, and one of the things that's kind of occurring to me is it sounds like the responsibility for keeping it balanced and keeping everyone engaged is really a two-way thing. I think a lot of DMs worry too much about, oh, am I giving everyone what they need? It's like, yeah, but are they also jumping in, finding those opportunities, like you said, Cam, to develop your character even though you're not always in the
Right.
absolute spotlight? You know, those little moments of development and enjoying the story when you're not, not necessarily right at the forefront of the story.
That's a good point. Yeah, I wonder if you're not having a good time, if you don't want to go back and look at your character and
Mhm.
round them out a bit
Mhm.
more.
Mhm.
Because your character should always be able to have an opinion about what's going on, a feeling about it. I mean,
Right.
bored can be interesting.
Yeah.
If your character's
Can indeed
frustrated,
be.
that
Can
can
indeed
play
be.
in,
Yeah.
I did like and like a little bit of that where it's if someone did something way because we can understand what our characters how they act, but if they start acting way out of character, that would be a little disconnect about a
Yeah.
little bit. But like it can help to where example when Erky says like I don't know I'm saying this, but maybe we should talk to them,
Right.
and then we're like looking at him like what?
Right.
Because our characters would not expect that from him, but it's not so beyond where like Erky went out there like I am Erky and I would like to talk to you.
Soapbox speech. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So the contrast and the fact that you kind of know each other's character and can bounce off of that is just great. Well, this is great. Thank you guys for chatting about it. Just nice comments on the in the different chat streams. No real questions this time. In future, though, I think it would be super fun, maybe even to do a poll and see what kind of stuff people want next time. Like let viewers
Yeah.
pick the location, pick whatever, because
Oh, for sure.
we're I think the part of the fun of all this is being able to interact. So as we're building this is stream 1. So thanks everybody for
Yeah.
tuning in to stream number 1.
Yeah, send us a challenge.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
absolutely. Even after the fact, we'll be monitoring, the YouTube comments and Facebook and whatever else. If you're interested in seeing a particular type of adventure, we're totally up for crafting it.
Absolutely. Give us a challenge.
Give us a challenge.
It
Give us a
would
challenge.
be
We're
funny if someone's like,
we're
okay,
into it.
my challenge is you have to say aluminum siding.
Find the aluminum siding in Faerun. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
How
Maybe
did how'd it go for you?
Oh yeah, well, it was great. It was super. It was a lot of fun. I had just enough there, that we could kind of run with it, and a lot of stuff that showed up was just very much in the moment, just messing around with my friends, which is what I love to do. And it was, it was very unexpected. You put a trap in there and you expect at least somebody's going to potentially get hit with it. Something's going to come of it. Nothing. It was cool. Everybody just waltzed right out of all that poison. No problem. No big deal. Then, other things, go very differently. I certainly was not expecting a contractual, a litigious ending to all of this. But yeah, it was good.
Pretty wrong there, pretty intensely.
Well, it was just building up, and these guys are. You talked about playing true to form. I'm like, I can't have sprites just back down. These guys are serious, super just. They're like the little paladins of the wild. They're not gonna put up with a bunch of nonsense. So yeah, it all could have gone a lot of other different ways. I think it mostly kind of went, basically within the opening and 3 acts that I thought it kind of would. But that's not the fun of it. The structure isn't the fun of it. The fun of it's in the moment when you guys are cracking jokes and being your characters and doing your thing. It brings it to life, So the little bit of notes on a page is just the absolute bare bones of the thing. And the more I can just kind of be in the moment and hang out and enjoy the thing unfold, the better. One of the things I love about playing with you guys is, I can throw it over, or I can let there be a pause, or I can just, kind of pass the ball, and I know something fun's gonna come back, So I don't feel like I'm always having to generate or output. And I think a lot of new DMs wear themselves out feeling like they've got to always be driving things. But when you get a group that you kind of settle into, and you all know each other, you can kind of pass the ball around, and that's a lot of fun. That's the game to me. Really, a lot of it. The notes are just a starting point, a way of getting into the game. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great fun, and a totally unexpected ending. And the more and the ending, was you're gonna free him, but the more you guys were loving this image and whatever, and I kind of had this idea in the back of my mind anyway of the animals gathering. I just went, it's got to end with a walk of shame. It's got to end with a walk of shame.
Yes.
So so I was like, we were all kind of just voting for judgmental. We gotta go out with some judgmental rabbits, on this episode. So it was great.
I
And I
wanted some
liked
like
the-
huge buck-toothed cross-eyed rabbit just laughing at the
Just,
guy.
it was- yeah,
That 1 foot.
yeah, the 1
There
foot
was a
exactly.
full circle of Erky chuckling
That's
in
right.
the
That's
tea
right.
room at this whole idea, and even though he was grumpy, coming back around at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
He's back to like, oh, that's right, that's why I went
That's,
on this.
that's what this is freaking hilarious. I love this. Yeah. And I got to kill someone with their own boots. It's like, yeah, Erky actually had a pretty good day despite having to crawl through thorns on his belly all day. Yeah.
I liked having a conversation with Gideon. I don't know if they've done much of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
such a weird pair to have a conversation of any kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly. Truly.
It's a challenge, really. It's kind of fun.
Gideon's all like, "So Erky, what are you thinking about? Killing stuff?"
What about you? I was writing poetry, in my head. It's like, yeah.
You ever write
Yeah.
poems about killing stuff?
Read some of those.
Haiku,
Although
I
I will
think.
say, Erky's finishing moves are pretty poetic sometimes.
There is that. There is a
Little
certain.
poetry
Yeah,
to it.
There is a
absolutely.
certain,
Yeah.
let's say, flourish with which he
Yeah.
completes his.
A poetry in motion.
That's
Yeah,
right, if you
absolutely.
will.
You
If
make
you
art
will.
with your hands.
What can we say? He's an artist.
You make art with other people's feet.
It's true. It's sort of a Jackson Pollock painting.
Yeah.
Just use their blood. and
There
flower.
is that. There is that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, a lot of
The only
splattering
thing
in
I
this
didn't
one.
do that I wanted is I purposely took one of her cookies to save because I thought maybe I could use it later, either like if we found the guy.
Oh,
or
right,
we
yeah,
killed
yeah.
him or whatever.
Right.
But he didn't deserve his.
He didn't deserve his mom's
No.
cookies. No cookies
So
for.
I was,
No cookie for you, pal.
No cookie for you.
No
pal.
cookie for you, pal.
He's a jerk.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was a jerk, yeah. And I heard myself going, okay, he's gonna insult the sprites now. And then I went, okay, now I've got to make up sprite insults. Yeah. Sometimes I get myself into more, trouble than I know how to get out of. But yeah, that was good. That was good. Wonderful. All right.
Low rent brownies.
Well played, guys. We're going to be back on Wednesdays. We're going to do this regularly on Wednesdays. It's going to be 7 p.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, which is 7 p.m. in the UK, 8 p.m. in Western Europe. We're on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook under Spontaneous DM. And just subscribe, follow. That's the best way to find out about new ones, but it will be a regular thing on Wednesdays. I think this was a great inauguration of live streaming, and I can't wait for the next one. So
Good stuff.
thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.